Today on Tendy Talk, we're getting down. I'm Rick Besharah.
And I'm Chris Morin.
And we're talking tendies. Why do you do that every song?
I'm trying to subtly.
Good day.
Goalie Army Academy hat.
Hi everybody. Today we're talking about getting down. And when I say getting down, we're talking about dropping down on the butterfly. We see a lot of students around the novice Adam age where maybe no one's ever taught them how to butterfly. All they see is NHL goalies or other goalies in the rink dropping down onto their knees. And I wanted to touch on one area of dropping down the butterfly that I find extremely important for goaltenders, whether you're a beginner or intermediate, whatever it may be, or even if you're maybe an adult league goaltender that has just picked up being a goaltender. There's different situations that you could be dropping into a butterfly slowly, but for the most part, when you're dropping down in the butterfly, it's because there's a shot coming at you, and it's normally from within your zone. In which case, the idea of dropping into the butterfly is to ensure that you're covering the bottom portion of the net. So you want to flare out the hips so that way your legs come out a little bit more, you're covering the bottom of the net a little bit more. Now, whether it's a reactive butterfly or a compact blocking butterfly, we're not going to get into that too much today, but what I do see a lot of goaltenders doing is either just kind of easing down into a butterfly. So let's say my fists are the goaltender's knees and the skates are my elbows. We'll see goaltenders just kind of ease down in the butterfly, or even I've even seen some novice beginners just kind of jump up and then land down, right?
Slam down.
Yeah. So what we want to do is throughout that whole process of dropping down in the butterfly, we want to cover the bottom of the net. So essentially what a goaltender wants to do, once again using my arms as an example, is not fall down forwards, because then the legs are in behind us. Instead, we want to flare out and we want to force our knees down. So that way we're covering the bottom of the net as much as we can with our legs, but our knees are driving into the ice as if we want to go through the ice. We have to do it with power, but there's also a stability element as well. If you're dropping both your knees at the same time, then if you're square to the puck and you're forcing your knees down into the ice, then you should stay there. But if you have that nonchalant kind of attitude of dropping one leg down first, then as one leg slips out from underneath you, you're going to come off to the side a little bit one way or the other. And I think that's one element that a lot of goaltenders aren't really getting in terms of their coaching, whether it be at the novice or Adam levels.
Yeah, no, basically, yeah. I mean, the biggest thing I see with goalies too, like that I work with as well, is it's the same thing, right? They're just going down so gently, and you'll kind of see sometimes if that puck is shot hard enough, that puck will even just slip underneath the pad. The whole idea with forcing the knees down is not only just to get down on the ice quick, but it's also to create a tighter seal along the ice. If you're able to get those pads to rotate properly and get a nice tight seal on the ice, you don't have to worry about things sneaking under you, pucks that might get stuck just under the edge of your pads. You just force them down, and you're basically able to make sure that you're taking away the bottom of the net a lot quicker without giving up those little holes or those openings where the puck might tend to squeak through.
It's a tough thing for a lot of youngsters to do, especially maybe ones that aren't used to the bulky equipment or used to the skates, or maybe still wearing player skates, strapping the puck or the pads on for the first time, whatnot. And that's when we'll see a lot of falling forward. The main thing when teaching a butterfly, whether you're a team coach or another goalie coach out there looking for a little bit of tips or whatever, is the idea that a goalie wants to bring their knees down to the ice, but they want to allow their skates to just kind of give out from underneath them as they're pushing their knees down to the ice. And realistically, it's a timing thing that some goaltenders have trouble with, and the balance aspect too, because since they started skating, they didn't want to fall. They didn't want to crash down into the ice. And that's kind of a tough hump for some kids to get over, is the idea that as soon as my skates do start to give out, that's a good thing because I want to drive my knees into the ice. But then what ends up happening is you end up with some kids that may be a little bit insecure with their ability to drive their knees into the ice. And you might end up having that one kid that's dropping one leg first and then moving over a little bit and covering a little bit more of the side of the net. So I think it's very important that at an early age we're teaching the kids that it's okay that your skates are sliding out from underneath you and that they should be going out to the sides. The reason why we're driving our knees into the ice is for the bottom of the net coverage, but also to make sure that our knees are hitting right underneath where we are standing. If we're in the right position and we're square to that puck, then we want to make sure that our knees are hitting that point right underneath our jock. So that way we're driving into the ice and we're staying in that same spot. That way we're able to control the puck if it's a low shot. We're able to direct it, and it makes the recovery process a little bit easier too.
Another point too with regards to doing the butterfly, a lot of people don't think of is just your balance on your skates. So a lot of the times I'll see a goalie in their ready stance and their balance is either on their heels or the middle of their blades. So the issue with that is you're not sitting back, but you're kind of leaning back to an extent where it makes it a little bit more difficult to force those knees down because you're having to shift your weight forwards before you go down. So the idea is when a goalie is set, you don't want to be on your tiptoes, obviously, on the ice, but you kind of want to have that weight a little bit more towards the front of your skate. So your edges are dug in, you're nice and set, and it makes it a lot easier because you're basically just slipping your toes out rather than having to slip the entire blade out from underneath you. So just one of the things, a lot of the younger kids, they don't necessarily get it, but as you get older, we start to teach about where your balance should be on your skates, and definitely being a little bit more on your toes will help you force those knees down a little bit harder.
And it is a very difficult area for a lot of team coaches to work on too with their goaltenders, where they may have a little bit of knowledge with the goaltender's position, but with all the bulky equipment, it's hard to determine whether the child is standing properly or bending their knees properly. And one thing that we do see as soon as kids start to take on that goaltender role is they're using the whole blade of their skate in their ready stance, but their legs are completely straight, so they're just peg-legged, in which case, you know, they're cutting into the ice with their inside edges, but they're not ready to move one way or the other. And that's the thing, is we have to make sure that goaltenders' knees are bent and that their skate blades are just a little bit wider than their shoulder width. So that way they're still able to be agile if they need to. They're still able to change direction if they need to. What we want to try to avoid is that the goaltender is going to go down on every shot because they're not able to move one way or the other because they've got their edges so dug into the ice with their whole blade. If that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. I mean, you think about it like this: as a skate, you have three edges on your skate. You have an inside edge, an outside edge, and a flat. Anytime you're on an outside edge or an inside edge, you're going to start to curve, right? You're going to your edge is going to dig into the ice. It's going to make it really hard to, say, shuffle across the net with your edges on an angle. If we get those legs a little bit closer together, you're a little bit more on the flat part of your skate. It makes it a lot easier to scrape across the ice when you're shuffling. So.
If you have any questions or concerns about what we've discussed today, feel free to post them in the comments section below, or you can always email us at contact@gaahockey.com, and we'll be happy to help you out with a response, so whatever it may be. Thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you again soon.
Thanks, guys.